How many megawatts of electricity do you need to take Nigeria to 24/7 provision of electricity, 24,000 megawatts? How do you pay for them? You pay for them by managing your resources properly, attracting investors, not to come and invest in short-term investment and take away their profit whenever the market crashes, but to ensure that they stay with us whether it is rough or good. We want an investment atmosphere that allows people to come in here to invest and gain profit, but not gain the people, like the telephone companies are doing. We've done all of this, and that is the how that we have been wanting to explain to Nigerian people. I wish that we came on your show before now. We wish that the media has given us this opportunity to talk to our Nigerian people. But this is my first time on NTA since we started 9 months ago. I'm a citizen of Nigeria, and the major candidates, like I mentioned to you, they don't come here. They use their proxies to come here. We need to have an opportunity to engage robustly with our Nigerian people so that we can change the leadership in a way that the generation of people that are suffering now can see great life before they leave this earth.
Mr. Sowore, let's still dwell on the how. You've touched on a number of issues as part of your spice and heat. State housing, and let's also take power.
Yes.
Already on the table, we have a number of programs and policies. There is a National Housing Fund. You have also the program on accelerated housing. You have the program for mortgage refinancing. But the deficit continues to grow because our population is exploding. What is it we're going to do differently?
Our population is not exploding to the extent that we can catch up with the needs of our population. What is exploding is the greed of the political class. And you cannot continue to finance greed when there's need to be attended to. That is a problem. The reason I'm saying that to you is that our politicians like to point to China. And China is there with some of the biggest population on earth. But they don't have a housing deficit. They have a problem where there are apartments in China that have not been occupied, and they call them ghost apartments because they built enough houses for their people. There are not enough people to live in houses. And what is the population of China? You tell me. Huge, right? What is the population of Nigeria? 200 million people, right? That is according to our figures. People are saying maybe we are within 150 million. But what the programs we are talking about are the same programs I have seen when I was 18 years old at the University of Lagos. There's always a vision or a national plan for 4 years. They said it's going to be 2020, we are 2029. Go and look at all the programs that our politicians have designed. They're just programs. They're meant for propaganda and they're not implemented. We are saying that we want to move from that era of just propaganda to implementation of ideas and programs. The mortgage we're talking about, you say there's a national housing fund. I don't call it a national housing fund. It's a national slush fund where politicians dip in their hands and take it. When you talk about education, go and look at UBEC. UBEC is there promoting ignorance and illiteracy. 13 million kids are off school on the street. The same thing is happening with our petroleum resources. We are making money, but there's nothing to show for it. You go to every sector in this country, point to whatever they told you they would do that they've delivered upon. Every time you blame the last administration, like I said on the show recently, the last president is always better than the next one because progressively we've been having terrible, terrible governance because people are not delivering on even their own agenda ideas that they promised on. And that is where we said there will be a difference. And we're promising you, we're looking at you Nigerians, if you can just make the right decision in the next 39 or few days, this country will change because we are capable of changing the country, and we have demonstrated this by coming out as a political movement within 9 months, as a party within 4 months, and reach every nook and cranny and consciousness of Nigeria.
I don't think you have actually answered the question put to you by Kingsley in such a way that Nigerians will begin to think differently about what you have in your agenda. Now, recalling the failures of the past will not do you good at this point that you have the opportunity to talk to Nigerians. So we were talking about, he mentioned housing development, and that there are institutions already established, to implement the policy. Now, what are you going to do differently in housing, for instance? What is that plan that you have when it's superior to what is on ground at the moment. That can change because of history in the housing sector.
I've just told you that specifically we are building 17 million houses. I will start laying the foundation.
And we that is the funds, and
we have funds, right? And you're talking about institutions that have existed. The funds are there for the institutions to do what is right. But there's nobody laying foundation for housing. We are laying foundation for propaganda for housing. And that's what I'm addressing. I'm saying that as president of Nigeria, I will be the chief bricklayer of this country building houses. I will be the chief electricity officer of this country turning on the lights, because we will use the combination of solar energy, which is out there that they've done in Morocco and Tunisia. We will use our gas appropriately to fire, the electrical sector combines this time around. We use hydro appropriately. I will not be the first one who has a combined city somewhere for 4 years and can't be transported because a bridge couldn't be built. You're talking to journalists who cover the world in this country, and you don't talk about the world, and you talk about the solution. People need to know, you need to touch people in their areas of need. When you're talking about schools, I have said that we will take 13 million kids out of the streets by investing an average of 100,000 naira by kid to take them out of the street and go back to school, so that if their parents also to school, the police will come looking for them. Right? So these are specific programs, and they are there in our Spicer program, and we have been talking about it. What it has not received is publicity. And sometimes cynicism that, we've heard this before, so how can you do it? But we're telling you now, basically, directly, and cogently, that this is possible.
All right, Mr. Sowore, thank you very much. Let's bring in Dr. Rabio Rufai. Dr. Rufai, perhaps we wish to amplify the aspects of what Mr. Sowore has said. For instance, with regard to housing, he cited the example of China. And we can see how China, the past 40 years, has exploded into a manufacturing hub, delivering on the value chain for housing. So, what is the how that your party seeks to achieve housing for 17 million or more who do not have housing? That's the first leg of my question. You can dispense with that very quickly. Second leg, what is it that you will do differently with regard to the power situation? Now, everybody's complaining less about the gencos or more about the discos. What is your plan for the discos?
Excellent. You have seen the passion in us. Actually, to change this Nigeria for the better. And that's the most important ingredient in the spice I heat there. Meaning, we are sincere, we are passionate, and then of course we have the political will to change the situation of this region. And you put in China, which is a very good example now. They have summarized the achievements of Europe for the last 20 years. I think we only use that just, especially with Chinese cities. And also going to take another good example from another middle economy, Brazil. They achieved lots of successes under the former President Lula da Silva by lifting millions of people out of poverty and forward. The housing issue you mentioned is actually, that's what they have actually a robust cabinet to assist us in doing that. They now looked after the inside and out of the situation. They have what we can now call slum in this country. And then say, okay, what is slum? It means that the areas of the basic infrastructure in terms of schools, hospitals, preparation of centers and the football matches, football pitches and so on. So they now recruited the youth. They converted some of the carpenters to artisans, to builders, plumbers, electricians and so on. And that's actually part of our own economic actually solutions to the country. We need to create a large middle class for this country as obtaining other economies. So we're going to train these people, we're going to use them actually to build the houses that we are intending for 17 million in this country. And our number
there, so we need to uphold them in their jobs. So as not to allow to release Beninese and Nigerians coming to Nigeria to sit tired to do POP and so on. The next our youth. This is a country of 200 million people, and we have one of the largest actually demographic of these young people. So we have to get them engaged for us to serve as an incentive to build off the drug culture, which is now very common, particularly where I come. I'm sure I've seen the documentary that BBC did last year. A lot of issues with drugs, because an idle mind is a double workshop. So let them be builders, let them be painters, let them be. So that's what we intend to use. We have the workforce, we have the money in this country. I don't like the cynicism that Nigeria is broke, Nigeria is poor. I don't think it's overwhelmed with us.
I hope you wait and from
you would have realized that right now we have only 3,000 all common. Sometimes it's the second masters of APCs that go on to say this, who are in Daura. We were almost there 24 hours, taking out the things. There was no electricity. So let's forget about this 7,000 megawatts. What our intention is to build 24,000 megawatts so as to improve our industrial capacities in production as well. And we're going to harness the wind, the solar, and then the turbines too. And we realize that we have infrastructure to generate, but even distribute is a problem. So we're going to take charge of that. We go to get rid of the corruption that is there. It exists. I know that the end users actually do not get the value for money. There are outages. I live in the north, and there was time I recorded 6 months because of poles, wind and so on. And I was paying. All this happened actually to our people. So we're going to check that, definitely.
All right, let's return to your presidential candidate one more time, and I'll take you on agriculture, which is of course the mainstay of the national economy. If of course the value chain is properly cultivated, and that's a sector that has been that suffered neglect for a very long time in this country. So what are you going to do in agriculture?
First is to understand that agriculture has become, it has been elevated to technology. And you cannot continue to practice agriculture the old way. We went from Yola to Jalingo by road. It took about 4 hours, something that should have been less than an hour and a half. And still found that farmers along the way were using horses and donkeys to still drag their plow, But along the same road, we counted nothing less than 50 SUVs owned by government officials. So instead of buying SUVs, we need to be buying tractors, because an average government official doesn't need 10 SUVs to ply a road that is not motorable in the first place. But most importantly is to look at how we doing agriculture, how we investing in it, how are we processing after we have completed the process of growing of crops. Our major problem we found is post-harvest loss. And they're all connected to the fact that you don't have roads after you finish harvesting to go to the market. They have to do with inability to store your products because there's no refrigeration available, because there's no electricity. This is why we're and of course now you're dealing with a major agricultural crisis, which is the inability of farmers to grow because of conflict in the farming sector. So we're looking at it holistically. We'll introduce entrepreneurs in every local government to grow whatever is available, 1,000 entrepreneurs. We have a farmer herdsmen crisis in the country that needs commercial ranching. That is, you don't have herdsmen who are carrying weapons, killing subsistence farmers because there's a conflict about where they forage. When we do commercial ranching, you are taking care of over 20 million cows that are roaming the streets, looking for places to feed, because the Northeast as well, where they ultimately used to have freedom to graze, is now under the control of terrorists. So it's part of why we're discussing security, that except we push the terrorists out of Nigeria's territory and defeat them, you cannot free up land that's twice the size of the state of Virginia in the US, where typically in Bisa these herdsmen can feed. But think about the rationalism. Every dropping from a cow can also be converted to biogas. That is to say, we can get over 1,000 megawatts of electricity just from droppings of cow dung, as we call them in agriculture. So that's the reason I'm talking tech regarding how agriculture should be practiced. And that is how you can have food security and have a sustainable agricultural system in which people can not only feed, but Nigeria can become Africa's food basket, so that we can also play in the agricultural market. We're already doing it unofficially. China is there taking our ginger out every day. The sesame oil that is being grown in Kaduna, there are spices all over Nigeria that could be playing very well in international market capture. But most importantly, feed our own people.
Yeah, let me draw your attention to this so we can bring along with your response. The issues that you have articulated, some persons will say, are fairly well known. Again, we'll return to the how. What do you intend to do differently? What do you intend to instigate to help realize the positive sides and some of the downsides that you have indicated? Is it, just hang on a second, what will be the public sector initiative and what will be the incentives to the private sector?
So the public sector initiative is government getting involved in investing in agriculture, incentivizing agricultural programs and projects. You know that there used to be a time that irrigation was the responsibility of people in government in this country. They did everything to make sure water was made available. We had agricultural basins, we had extension workers. I grew up beside an oil palm plantation in Ondo State. They had them all over this country. Today they've all been abandoned because of the mono economy of oil, where our politicians feed fat all the time and forget that we need to grow crops. So it got to a point where Nigeria became one of the largest importers of toothpicks, right? Whereas the rest of the world has now rebranded even our chewing stick into something that has been sold in boxes already. What I'm trying to tell you is that we need to bring innovation and entrepreneurship into agriculture in such a way that we and make programs and projects self-sustaining in the country. So the public sector intervention is political investment from government and ensuring that the Bank of Agriculture is not a slush fund for people who are willing to stop, and also to encourage private sector initiatives and participation, but not in such a way that also they're getting this.
We actually round you up this program. That's one question about us. What is the spread of your party? I mean, what is the structure of your party in land? Because you are here conversing today with the president of this country. How are you carrying the electorate?
Excellent. You have heard or seen that our movement is unprecedented because we came up with a take-back movement that metamorphosed and became more transformative in our ideas into a political party. And we got registered with INEC, and before you do that, you have to have certain requirements fulfilled, which is to have a spread of 25 states across the country, and we are even much more in all the states of this country, including Abuja. We have our party structured, and then you have seen how we carry Nigerians along.
Which offices are your members running?
We're doing Senate, we're doing governorship in many states, and also to add to what is saying, we have visited over 33 states in Nigeria. We've done over 150 events. In fact, we can say categorically to you today on this show that we are practically the only ones campaigning across Nigeria.
All right. Okay. Let's listen to the views that have come in by way of tweets from some of our viewers. Kieran, let's Jack Solomon has a number of tweets. We'll just take one or two of them and then go on to the others. He says in the first world climb, Sowore will be a good potential presidential candidate and make a good president to govern Nigeria. However, his American style of campaign and politicking doesn't suit Nigeria. Politicians wouldn't want his type to be president, but they should give it a try.
Okay, let me take this from Mike Ayabo. He says, thanks NTA Nigeria for bringing workaholic, energetic, and vociferous show. Yeah, well, we've been waiting for him since starting this analysis of political parties. And he said, empirically, Sowore entered the race with flavor, zeal, and tempo. never would look for in our liberal democracy. He has the youth appeal.
Again, Mike Anyako says, my concern about Sowore is that his party is unknown in 774 local governments. Paucity of funds is another issue with this presidential hopeful. I want Sowore to tell us whether he has the resources to pay party agents on election day and whether he will step down from that candidate.
Okay, now, as he says, they shouldn't just make empty promises. They should look for a way to better our lives. Staying in this lesser unknown political party is not doing any good, and that's the much we can take actually on this segment. I'm sure you're happy that we can really give you the opportunity to sell your party. You know, we've done that for you today.
The second half of the injury time, and we hope that the referees will keep.
We'll likely return again. Yes. Right. So we'd like to thank you very much. The presidential candidate of African Action Congress, Omoyele Stephen Sowore, thank you for coming. And of course, Dr. Rakiu Ahmed Rufai, you are the vice presidential nominee of the African Action Congress. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Now let's take a short break. For all the time, we will continue with the second leg of our conversation on Deep Nigeria today.
Let's go.
Okay.
It is that time of the year when we appreciate those that make us much government and civil society groups, political parties, business, and above all, you. Together, we shall make 2019 Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Oh, okay. How are you? How are you doing?
They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are not friends to die, but terrorists to God. So you must know your neighbor. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and the security agencies. Security foundation is a If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Comment on the program.
Do you have your card?
Welcome back at the Studio Nigeria Network Service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now it's time for us to take our reaction to the party to give us some insight into their campaign agenda for the presidential election coming up next month. So we'd like to welcome at this time the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Professor Jerry. And also here with us in the studios is a director of the Secretariat Presidential Campaign Team. Is John by the way, this is very popular first question. As I said, this is the second bite at the cherry for the Social Democratic Party. Late last year, we had the SDP come up on front presidential time. Before the courts intervened.
Are we good?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Remember me? My good sight. Oh, wow.
We fought for you guys to go to NYC.
I know now.
Yeah, so you are here now?
Yes, I've been here for a long time. No, I don't have a card. I'm looking for that.
Let me take his number.
Paso?
00 double 3 127 787. You know Professor Sowore is there?
Yeah, I have to. In fact, I did the announcement on my Facebook page. Very sad. Very sad.
I was in DBN then. Okay, Claire.
Yeah.
Adela. Abdulrazak.
I'll be in touch.
No problem. Just watch me set up. Yes. Good to see you too.
Well, thank you very much.
How the program went well. I think
did.
it was.
How are you?
I can't
Thanks.
I tried to call you back yesterday.
Yeah, but I spoke to your person and I said everything. So thank you so much. I think the show went well. And that's all we have to
Just tell us, let us know.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to Benue today.
That's why you were in Ghana. You had to ask.
No, the Kano thing was good. Yeah, but we're going to Makodi today. That's why we're campaigning today. And also Lafayette tomorrow. So to let me know who to call on our lawyer. Okay. Abuja, thank you for doing this.
Are you sending me a call?
Yeah, call me.
Okay.
You will sit here. So you have any shows?
I have a program, yes. I have a program. That's what I was texting. When are you going?
This is a public place now. You are helping
Okay, I'll send you that media program.
Yes.
Around?
Not here now, but I will also send you a contact.
So I'll send you a text message.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, people. Good morning.
So how is it?
I think it went well. It's also US to George. Good morning. Yep. We're heading to Makodi. Back.
No going back. President.